Hello and welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be a birthday card. This birthday card is going to be for my mom, who is an amazing woman, so this card seemed very appropriate. The card layout is very easy to create, and I'm just using simple punches and a simple die cut to create this elegant background. I hope you will try it yourself. Okay, today I'm using the Amazing You stamp set by Stampin Up, and it also has a coordinating die set, which is Celebrate You. I'm going to be using the Flower Shop wood-mounted stamp set. This also comes in clear. And I'm using the Eclectic Expressions also by Stampin Up. This is a very Stampin Up heavy card today. I'm also using the small flower punch and the Pansy punch from Stampin Up. Additionally, I will be using a Martha Stewart butterfly punch. In addition to these materials, I'm going to be using some rhinestones, and I have a small bit of black ribbon with a silver metallic pattern through it. Okay, let me move these things out of the way and we'll get started. Okay. First, I want to talk about this paper that I'm using for the background. This, in fact, was the backing paper for the My Monthly Hero that I got. They usually have some very pretty papers that coordinate in with the stamp set of the month. And here you can see the little residue of where I cut it out. So what I do is I take that paper, it's about this big, and trim it out. And now I got this pretty background that's usable in a card, and it's very firm cardstock. So I'm going to do a couple more cards using those backings over the next couple of days. Also, I must apologize to you if you hear the sound of my dishwasher in the background. I wasn't thinking about I was going to make a video before I started it, so I'll try to talk louder so that you can hear me. The first thing I'm going to do is my die cutting. This die cut is intricate, but I found that it came out very easily from the paper. If you're having trouble with getting it out, you could use the magnetic shim or add a couple of extra card pieces to add more pressure to it. But I didn't have any trouble getting it out. So I'm just going to run this right on through. And there we go. It pops right out as you see, but it's delicate. Be sure not to bend it. Okay, moving on. Now I'm going to move on to the inside of the card. I have already put all the stamps that I need on the door of the Misty, and I used a piece of cardstock the same dimension as my inside and the London Fog, and I made myself a map layout of where I wanted everything to be to make sure I was happy with the layout. You can always do this so that you don't use your actual card stock for your project by just grabbing some white, you can use copy paper even, the same dimensions, and that will help you line up the stamps and get ready so that once you're ready to make your actual card, you can just breeze right on through. Little tricks like this is what will help you do mass producing. Just a little bit of setup ahead of time that will help you a lot. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is stamp this flower in the corner, but it has leaves and the flower petals, and I want to do that in two different colors. So I'm going to make sure this doesn't move. Use my magnet. Okay, so make sure that you have it flush in the corner because you're going to have to stamp over this 2 times. So first I'm going to do the flower. So I'm stamping only where the flower petals actually are, and there is some overlap with the leaves. So I'm just going to take my little rag here and wipe that right off. And because it'll be a little moist, I'm going to use my finger and get the extra moisture off and then stamp it just like that. So now that is the flowers. And now I'm going to clean that blue off. And then I'm going to do the same thing, but this time I'm only going to ink up the leaves and then go through and wipe the green off the petals. Stamp that. And there, 2 colors. Very easy. So I'm going to flip this paper around and do the same thing again on the other corner. Okay, now, I almost forgot to clean this off. Now I'm going to slide it down here where I have the sentiments already in place. And I'm going to stamp those with the Versafine Onyx Black. And I think that U didn't quite get dark enough, so that's the good part about using a stamping tool like the Misty, that you can restamp if you need to. Okay, let me move this away and move on to the next parts. Now to get this butterfly, I'm going to use the mat, the black mat of the card, to punch this butterfly. This is a way that you could save a little bit of paper. Now this particular punch is very difficult for me to use. I have problems with my hands, so I'm going to have to pull this off camera to do it. Okay, and there I have it. Just make sure that you are well within the edges of the card area so that it won't show. So you could have also gotten another piece of little black scrap, but this is, you know, easy to do and saves a little bit of paper. Okay, let me move this out of the way and move on. I'm now going to move on to doing the flowers. When you're using the Pansy punch with the Flower Shop stamps, it can be a little tricky unless you have set up the stamps ahead of time. And I'm going to explain that briefly. I have a very small dot which I have put at the bottom of the punch, and I have a coordinating dot on the stamps itself. Now what I did was, I learned this trick from Francis Martin. What I did was I took the stamp and just stamped it onto just straight up paper, and then I took that piece of paper, much smaller than this, and I kept moving it around in the punch until I got the point where the stamp lined up with the punch. And once I knew that this point was the same as this point, I took and made a little mark on the stamp, and you can see that I didn't do the stamp the same way each time, so that's why this one's a little bit sideways and this was to the side, and they have another one that's going like this. But I didn't learn this trick until after I had already mounted the stamps. Of course, you could do this when you first get the stamp set, and you won't have to go through too many problems to get it going. So this was kind of important for anyone who has this stamp set and this punch, so that you know that there is an easy way to do this. So I'm going to stamp the stamps this way. So let me illustrate with this London Fog on this one. So I'm going to just stamp it right on to my cardstock. Close that. And I'm going to just take, and if this is done properly, I'll be able to easily line the punch up with the, I have to pull it so I can see, sorry. Okay, so now I have it lined up, and it's just a matter of punching it. So I'm going to go through and do all of the flowers, and I'll be right back. I also punched out the yellow flowers. So I have my piercing mat and my pokey tool, and I don't need that, I just realized. And I'm going to take the tip of the pokey tool and just go in the center of the flower and give it a little bit of dimension so the petals will rise up a little bit. I didn't do this on my prototype because I forgot, frankly. But I'm doing it on this one, so I wanted to show you how easy it is to just give a little bit of dimension. And I'm going to do the same thing here, but not as strongly as I did it on that one. Okay, just took a second. So the rest of the card is just going to be simply assembling everything. So I'm going to put the card together and let the music play. And that's the finished card. I made one little mistake, which I'm sure you saw. I needed to stamp the word "you" on this piece of paper before I had adhered the pattern paper to the blue, and I caught it just in time, and so that made it look a little bit hectic, but it's just a matter of keeping mind of the order that you need to do things, and it makes it a lot simpler to go through. This is a very elegant card. I hope that you'll try it yourself. I do not know if you can still get this celebration stamp set on Stampin' Up, but if you can, I recommend that you try and pick it up because it is really pretty, and I really love the amazing word. And I would like to thank you for watching my videos. I would like to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. I try to put out content pretty frequently. I'm trying to gear up now for my Mother's Day cards, which are coming up soon, and I hope you'll stick with me for those. I'd like to thank my brother David for the music, and I hope you're enjoying that also. Please take care, everyone, and have a great day.